Hello everyone, this is Giles Halling here, otherwise known as My Man in Champagne, and I'm taking a little walk through the vineyards today. I often do this and it always occurs to me that there's something to see. There's never nothing going on in the vineyards here in Champagne. So I thought that I would share some of these little videos with you, and for those of you who can't get to Champagne, because you live the other side of the world or because of travel restrictions at the moment, it's late April 2021, then I thought that it would be helpful if I actually brought Champagne to you. And for those of you who are already taking my course, My Champagne Expert, then all these little videos will complement the many videos which you get in the course. And for those of you who haven't heard about the course or might be taking the course in future, then this will give you a little taster of what you can find out in that course, My Champagne Expert. Now, having said that I'm in the vineyard today, I'm actually not. Today I'm on a disused railway line, which you can see behind me, I think. There you go. That's part of the disused railway line. It's an old railway line that ran alongside the Montagne de Reims, between Reims and the surrounding villages. It fell into disuse, gosh, must be over 100 years ago now, but it's now a lovely walking trail overlooking the vineyards, which I'll show you in just a second. I'll show you also a typical Champagne view, if you like, with the plains at the bottom and the vineyards on the side of the slopes and the forest behind. As you can see, it's a beautiful forest here. The bird song is absolutely incredible. Very, very few people around, and it goes on for miles and miles and miles. And just behind me here is the highest point in the Montagne de Reims, called Mount Sinai, or Mont Sinaï. Now, I'm going to stop the video just a second now, and I'm going to turn the camera around to show you the vineyards, which is what I started out to talk about in the first place. So bear with me 2 seconds while I turn the video around. So here I am again, standing in the same spot and looking out from the forest down across the vineyards, which you can see down here. You can see the sunlight glistening on the wires that hold up the vines as they grow. And this is just a tiny part of the vineyards, of course. They go on for miles and miles and miles, and down at the bottom of the slopes you can see there's no vines planted, just green and brown areas. That's the plain, which is actually called La Champagne, and the hillsides in Champagne are merely little eruptions in this huge plain which extends for miles and miles southwards. In a second or two I'll show you a better view of that from another angle. And in the distance over here, right in the distance there, you can see some more hills, and this is interesting in connection with the First World War, because where I'm standing now was held by the French army, and there are many concrete bunkers that you can still find to this day, where they used to have lookout emplacements, and the German army was encamped on those hills that you can see in the distance over on the far side, and no doubt they lobbed a few shells at one another, and you can still see what I believe to be the hollows in the ground where the shells exploded. Lots of those around. And looking down further to the south and southeast, way down there, not that far in fact, about 20 kilometers away, that was the front line where there were trenches and there was real serious fighting. And of course the fighting around here was pretty devastating as well, and the vineyards and many of the villages were completely ruined. So I'm going to move along now to show you another view of the Montagne de Reims and the plain, to give you another impression of what it's like here in Champagne. So bear with me and I'll be back in just a second. Here I am again, just showing you where I've walked from, only a couple of 100 yards from where I was standing before. You can see the disused railway line, and if we pan round you can see what I mean about the forest at the top of the slopes. Typical Champagne view, and below them the vineyards. And as I pan round, you'll see the extent of the vineyards, and moreover the plain that extends to the south for miles and miles. In fact, huge agricultural area. So contrary to what you might think, the Champagne vineyards are only a small part of the Champagne area. vineyards all the way down there. And you can see these little paths crisscrossing the vineyards. And right down at the bottom you'll see there's a motorway and a road, and of course that's too flat and too low-lying to grow vines on. If we look back down here and closely at some of the vines, here you see they are perfect straight lines stretching away as far as you can see, at least around this little pocket. It's a beautiful spring day, nice and warm, and there we go. Lots of little white vans. You can see all the vignerons seem to have white vans. You can see them dotted all the way across the vineyards. So there we are. One more view which I'll show you at the from the bottom looking back upwards, give you a full panorama, and I'll see you again in a few seconds. Here we are again then from rather lower down the slope, and you can just see there's a car going past where I was standing earlier on, a white car. And so I've come down the slope to show you what it looks like. It's typical Champagne view, the forest at the top stretching not just along from left to right or right to left, but way beyond that for many, many miles, with the vineyards and the vineyard paths down below here, some with grass growing in them, some not, and that's a story for another day, as is the story of the lighthouse which you can see here. Yes, I know we're 200 yards from the sea, but there's still a lighthouse here, and I'll tell you more about that another day. Panning round though, more vineyards, not surprisingly. A sugar beet factory down there. Lots of sugar beet grown in the plains, and they process it there to make sugar. And more vineyards, and eventually the vineyards run out and you get down in the plain at the bottom where it's flat and a bit colder. So there we are. I hope you've enjoyed that little view of this particular corner of Champagne. Of course there's lots more to it. This is just a tiny piece of La Montagne de Reims, which is in turn only one part of Champagne, but this has been the first of my strolls in the vineyards, or les balades dans les vignes, as they say in French. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope it's brought Champagne to your living room to a certain extent. Now, if you're interested in my course, My Champagne Expert, I'll leave a link either in the comment box below or at the bottom underneath this video, depending on which platform you're viewing it on. And so that's it for now. Another quick look round behind me so you can take in the views, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.